You're listening to Bigfoot Society Podcast, hosted by our captain, Jeremiah Byron, where it's all Bigfoot all the time. Have you ever had the urge to do more, to be more? Now you can by joining Bigfoot Society on the Patreon. Get ad-free episodes and even member-only episodes. Take part in movie night and even live video chats. Interact behind the scenes with Jeremiah and other Patreon members like me, Leia. The powerful podcast goes on, and you may contribute a verse in our Patreon community. Carpe diem. Seize the day, Bigfooters, and make your lives extraordinary.
Welcome to Bigfoot Society. If you have Bigfoot activity to report from the same areas discussed in this episode, please reach out to me directly after this episode. And if you'd like to be on the podcast to discuss a personal Bigfoot encounter, please reach out to me directly at bigfootsociety@gmail.com. Do you wish there was more Bigfoot Society to listen to every week? Well, there is now. If you become a supporting member over at Patreon, you get a special members-only episode every single week on Wednesdays, and sometimes even more episodes. Head on over to patreon.com/The Bigfoot Society. And now let's get on with the show. All right, Bigfoot Society, I've got the privilege of talking to Randy, a gentleman who contacted me from Upper Minnesota, and he's been having some interesting things happening at his property. I'm just going to let him first maybe introduce a little bit about what the listeners should know about you, Randy, and then we'll get right into it.
Sure. I live, 60 miles south of Canada in northern Minnesota. I don't live in town, back in the woods. I'm a musician. I play it all. I've never had a day job. I've always been in a band, if not a band. I have a sound company, and I provide productions for big acts, little acts, whatever. In fact, I used to do all the stuff in Tama, Iowa, at Meskwaki Casino there, all their national acts. But that's a long time ago. But anyways, this all first started. I had never believed in Bigfoot, but I did not believe in it either way. I never gave it a thought. Never crossed my mind about it. And I've been hunting in the woods since 12 years old, and I'm 64. And after deer hunting's over, the next day I'll walk back in the woods and see where the deer go during pressure. And there's only two people that hunt in the state land behind me besides myself. And then we live also on our own 40 acres of wooded land. So when I get the next morning, I'm back there walking in the woods. There's some snow on the ground. And I come across those 3 deer in their bed. Something killed 3 deer in their bed overnight, and there was nothing but hair. Just, there wasn't a spine, a bone, a rib cage of 3 deer. Now, I know what wolves do or cougars do to a deer. They can make a mess of it. Yeah, they do eat the bones and all that kind of stuff and chew on them, but there was not one bone. And the hide, there wasn't even a hide. It looked like the hair had been plucked out. Now, what kills 3 deer in their bed and doesn't leave a track? There wasn't any tracks. Nothing. Just a deer. There wasn't a drag mark or nothing. So right away, though, in my mind, I'm thinking, oh, my God, a pack of wolves back here. That's what I thought, I don't even got a gun or nothing with me. So I go back home, nothing besides that. For about 2 or 3 weeks, we're still at home. I haven't gone on the road yet in the band. I was telling my wife, you know what? In our 40 acres and our deer food plot back there, there's not a track in the woods. There's not a track in the state land. To me, that was really weird, really weird. So we go home. We go on the road, and we play a lot in Wyoming, Arizona, Nevada, and all that. We come back, and it's going to be 40 below that night. And the snow was way past my knees in the woods. And I like walking the woods all the time. So I took the snowmobile and rode it around all the trails back there, the old logging trails, because I knew it would freeze that night, and I could walk them the next day. So I did. I walked them the next day, and I'm coming around a corner on one of the old trails, getting back close to the house, and I come across these tracks, and I'm looking at them, and I kind of laughed to myself, what is this? They're in line. They're 18 inches long. They're 6 foot between each step in line. And I kind of laughed to myself, what is this, Sasquatch or Bigfoot? I'm kind of making a laugh about it. They stepped across the river. And I'm trying to follow them, but every step was past my knees in the snow. I just couldn't follow them anymore. And they were coming out of a cedar swamp. And all of a sudden, they just stopped. There's no more tracks. They just disappeared. They didn't jump in no tree. There was no trees around. It was in the swamp. There was nothing. And so I took pictures of them, and I sent them to, have you heard of the SRA of Minnesota, Sasquatch Research Association of Minnesota?
I believe so, yes.
Yeah. Well, it's two guys that used to be with the BFRO, and they broke off and started their own thing. Well, anyways, I sent my pictures to the head of the thing called Jim Hebb. Oh, man, he got back to me that same day. He said, Randy, you got a Squatch. That's how this all started. And he told me what to look for and all that. Since then, they've been seen 26 times behind my house here by other researchers that I've let here. I call them double class A sightings, not class A sightings. In the daytime, in the open, we look at each other. I'm close to them. And that's what my sightings. I'll tell you about some of my sightings. I'm going to tell you one thing. I know a lot about Sasquatch, but on the other hand, I don't know nothing. I can tell you this, though. They are not a big ape hiding behind a tree in the woods. They're a people, but they can do way more than we can imagine. I've seen them come out of portals. I've seen them disappear in front of my eyes. I've heard them do the Sierra sounds. They've said my name. They hit my house all the time. They gift me. I'm just giving you a rundown, then I'll go back to the stories. They gift me. I've got over 40 deer skulls that they've given to me. And I know this sounds crazy to me too, but it's real. There'll be a deer skull, 8-point buck deer skull on my deer stand back in the woods. Well, there's no trespassers. We don't have trespassers here. I don't even talk to the neighbors about this stuff. The only other people that hunt back in that state land is two guys, and they got their stands on a fence line. They don't even go in the woods, and I don't even talk to them about it. There'll be times I'll be walking back on a deer trail back in the woods there. I'll come back, and there's a deer skull laying there right where I just walked. Well, deer skulls, they don't walk by themselves. And here's the thing about all these deer skulls. When a buck drops his horns, squirrels and porcupines and whatever chew on them because it's protein for them. They eat them. There's chew marks on them. None of these skulls have a chew mark on them. The horns are in perfect condition. They give me Y sticks. Sometimes there'll be a Y stick right on my steps of my deck of my house here. I ask for them to do certain things for me, little simple things. The next day I go back there and they've done what I've asked for. It's the craziest thing. Okay, I'll tell you about some of my double class A sightings. A couple of years ago, I'm taking my pickup, and I got to go to Minneapolis playing this band. I didn't want to drive down my driveway, muddy old driveway, so I went down. We live right by a power line, too, a power line corridor. And I said, I'll just drive down there because on a 40 acres, a square 40 acres is a quarter mile by quarter mile, square 40. It's quarter mile by quarter mile by quarter mile by quarter mile. So I get almost down to the end of the quarter mile, and there's an approach there. I can go out to the highway. And I'm looking down to the next 40 acres, which is my daughter's father-in-law, and I see something really wide and auburn reddish colored, and it's looking out of place to me. And it's still in the open, but it's behind some little small sapling that's kneeling down. And, I'm looking at what? That's weird looking. I say to myself, what is that? And I get out of the pickup, and I start walking towards it, and I get closer. I get like 75 yards from it, and then I get like 50 yards from it. Guess what? It stands up. I said, oh, my God. That was my first double class A sighting. Oh, my God, that's Sasquatch down there. It's a red one. And after it's all, I'm going to back up for a second. After it was all said and done, I went and got a tape measure and measured the small sapling. I mean, it's like a half-inch around, little thing. It was standing behind that. I pulled it down and measured it. That was 8 feet tall. This thing was 9 feet tall. It was a foot taller than that. So we look at each other, and I keep walking towards it. I am not even scared. I'm not scared. For some reason, I look down at my shoe and look up. I don't know why I did that. I look up, and it's gone just like that. So I don't know what it did there, if it walked off or what it did, because I didn't see that. But it had been kneeling down with its hand, and like if you would make a fist, and its thumb out, and the wrist back. And we made a cast of that. I got a cast of that. And first I thought that was like a toes and like a dew claw thing. But it's not. It's knuckles and a thumb and a wrist. And it's 16 inches long. So I got that. Then another time, my wife's got to go up to another town to help her daughter paint a room. And she tells me, don't take those grandkids. One's 11, the other one is 5. Don't take those out to the woods because I'm in the woods every day. I said, oh, no, don't worry about that. I won't do that. But after about an hour, I get bored, and I tell the girls, let's walk down the power line. And I start walking out of the house, and I forget my phone. I say, I don't need my phone. I'm telling the girl, I don't need my phone. We're just walking down the power line. We get halfway down the quarter mile. Now, on our power line poles, 10 feet up, there's a black plastic wrap so that porcupines, raccoons, squirrels, whatever, can't crawl past that and chew on the wires. I'm seeing something 4 feet from one of these power line poles on the next 40 acres. and it's massive. It's even with that black scrap. It's a 10-footer. I get like 150 yards from it, and it's a Sasquatch. It's the black one, and it's looking at me. I'm looking at that. I get a little closer to it, and I turn around and say, "Girls, get up to me right now." And I turned back, and it was gone. I didn't realize Bristol was looking at it too. And she said, "Grandpa, I just seen a tall, hairy black giant walk in the woods." So I didn't see that walk either, but I asked her, I never talked to the kids about Sasquatch and stuff. I asked her, "Well, how did it walk?" She walked just like the Patterson Gimlin film thing with the arms swinging back and forth. When bears stand up, when a bear stands up, its paws are up. They're not hanging down past its knees. And that's what this was doing. Another time that December, I'm walking on that power line too to go to my gifting area. And I get really close, and there's that same one or another one, but it looked like the same one, standing at the same spot by the power line pole. This time, I'm not taking my eyes off of it. I get my phone out of my pocket, and I'm trying to get it going to videotape it as I'm walking. And I do get it videotaping, but all I got was the grass. I get about 75 yards from it, and guess what it does? It disappears in front of my eyes. Poof, gone. It did not walk off. I never took my eyes off of it. It disappeared. Just like that. Now, I've had some of the SRA guys here quite a few times, and that's the guys that have seen them here. There's a guy from Bemidji, Minnesota. So there I kind of gave I'm north of Bemidji. He has seen them here. But anyways, I got a juvenile hand. They like venison. They like venison a lot. Sometimes they'll kill, like I said, 3 deer. Sometimes sheep wool. It is so much deer hair. And I got lots of pictures of all that kind of stuff. And that is not wolves and cougars or coyotes doing that, because it'll happen overnight. That don't happen overnight with a wolf, especially in the wintertime. Because in the wintertime, the deer body freezes. It ain't going to get rotten on you. But anyways, I had a juvenile hand. I put some venison out there. And on the state land, I will put a camera out there once in a while. Cameras don't work. Trail cameras do not work. They will drain the batteries dry, and they'll wipe the SD card clean. But anyways, I put a trail camera out there, and I put some venison down in apples, and I got a picture of a juvenile hand. You can see the fingernails, the fingers. It looks like a monkey hand, but it's a total hand. But anyways, Doug Highcheck, which we're real good friends, and I'll talk to you about him in a little bit. He said, "Randy, go back there and try to recreate that hand so we can get dimensions and all that." Well, I had left my camera there and never had moved. I went back there, and I had on my wife's son, Tanner. At that time, he was 29, and Brian Glenn, an older guy from Bemidji. Tanner's got a beard, kind of reddish. Brian Glenn's got white hair, and he's bald. And I told those two, do not go in front of the camera at all while I'm trying to recreate this. So they're there behind the tree and stuff. But I did it wrong. I was laying in front of the camera trying to get my hand above my head, trying to make it like that. I should have been behind the tree. But anyways, I had brought a computer out there with me, and I'd let it take a couple pictures of me. I take the SD card out, put in the computer. Oh, I got that wrong. That's all wrong. And the third time I'm doing it, I put the SD card back in the camera, getting ready to let it take a picture. All of a sudden, Brian Glenn, he's had this before, the infrasound thing. Okay, I got real sick and really weird feeling. Of course, me and Tanner, I don't feel nothing, so nothing I can do about it at the time. So I take the SD card out of the camera, put it in the computer, and guess what? There's a Sasquatch standing by us. You can see half the body. And that is what it is. The camera picked it up from the side view. Our eyeballs did not see it. But here's the thing. If it would have been a bear, we would have seen a bear with our eyes, and a bear's not going to come stand a foot away from me and stand there while I'm messing around with the camera. It was a Sasquatch. Now, they listen to me. I'll ask them to do certain things, and this is the crazy stuff. I'll ask them to do certain things, and they do it. I'll tell you a few of them. Last year, I brought some venison out to the state land. There's a huge teepee out there, and it's not wind blowing. There's no root base there, and there's big sticks and trees that have been placed in there. In fact, this year they've added to it again. But anyways, I put some venison down on the ground. It was kind of freezer-burnt hamburger and some steak. I put some apples and some bushes and a couple jars of peanut butter. I brought one camera facing that stuff. I brought another camera on the other side facing that camera. Each camera is facing each other. Each camera is facing the food. I said, whether they're female or male, I always say you guys. I said, okay, you guys, here's what I want you to do. You take this first camera, I want you to make it not work. Never work again. It will never work again. I said that, and I want you to twist it. On the next camera, I want a picture of me when I set it up. I want pictures of deer, bear, and ravens flying through here. Then I said, do your magic. Take all the stuff, and I do not want any pictures of you doing it. And then when I come back to get the camera, I want a picture of me on the camera. So I waited a couple of days. I go back there. Guess what? The first camera is twisted. And when I get home with the SD cards and stuff, that camera does not work. Today, it doesn't work. The batteries were not drained dry. Batteries were still good, but it won't take a picture anymore. The second camera did exactly what I asked for. I got pictures of deer, bear, and ravens flying through there. Then there's no picture of what took the food. Because when the deer, bear, and ravens went through there, the food's all there. There's no picture of what took the stuff. And then there's a picture of me when I go pick the cameras up. That is exactly what I asked for. And there's no way that some 10-foot Sasquatch, when there's no leaves in the trees, hide behind a poplar tree and I don't see them. It's not possible. So that's what I'm saying. Yes, they are flesh and blood when they're on the earth. I call it the earthly plane or whatever, dimension, whatever, because they leave tracks. I got cast in the tracks. I got lots of hair that Doug Highcheck has got. Some of the hair is red, long, wispy. I'm getting them out of the power line poles. I'm thinking I don't usually give opinions because opinions are guessing, but I think they're rubbing their back on and scratching their back because the hair will be way high up or in the middle of the pole, and it's red, and you can see through it. And some of them is 10 to 12 inches long, and I got a bear rug on my wall, and then there's no 10, 12-inch hair on that bear rug. So, hey, listen to me. Here's the other things I'll do. I will, like in my gifting area, this year I've gone through 270 jars of peanut butter and 20-some bags of apples. I got 4 nails in an oak tree, and I got 2 nails together, and I'll go out there and lean a peanut butter jar on it. I'll take the paper off, put the lid back on, and put the peanut butter jar on there. Now, have I had bears come there before? Of course I have. Bears get it, and they take the jar, and it's all bit up and all tore apart. The cap is all bit up. When a Sasquatch gets it, they'll take the lid off, and if the lid is red, yellow, brown, blue, whatever color the lid is, they're in color order by the tree. I got so many lids down there by that tree, and it's not me that's putting them there. And like I said, we don't have trespassers. Nobody even knows where my gifting area is. My wife's never even been back to it. And the jar will look like it's gone through a dishwasher. It is perfectly clean. And this will be opinion now, I don't believe that they're sitting there licking the jar. I don't know how they're getting it so clean. And sometimes the jar will be upside down in a bush. And then they're still back there. I got jars upside down in bushes there that they have done that. But anyways, I'll ask for, hey, can you take some small saplings, popple saplings, and bend them over the trail where I got to walk into my gifting area. And that happened just the other day. I said that the next day I go, there's 2 small popple saplings bent over my trail where I can't even walk through there. I just leave them that way. I walk around it. Now, they did this again now. I didn't specifically say this, and I got pictures of this too. I asked them to bend some saplings across the trail where I would ride my 4-wheeler. And the next day, this is last week now, the next day I go back there, guess what they did? They got one going east, one going west, one going east, one going west, and they put 2 big sticks in a pine tree in an X. Now, there was no storm at all, and that's too much of a coincidence to have a popple sapling going east, one going west. And these are right together, about a foot apart from each other. And they're symmetrical, east, west, east, west. Now, I'm asking for that stuff. The other day I asked for a Y stick. I said, can you give me a Y stick? I haven't had one for a while. And back in the end of the 40 acres, there's a little fire ring where I can set and build a little fire and have some research set there with me. And there's a wooden spool there. Well, there was a perfect Y stick on my wooden spool. Well, that Y stick didn't blow off the ground and blow up there because we're in a deer food plot. There's not even no trees there. You see what I'm getting at? Oh, are you there?
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Doug Highcheck calls my place the Skinwalker Ranch of the North. Now, a couple years ago, I don't do trail cameras anymore. I don't do them on this 40 acres anyways. I will do them back in the state land once in a while. But anyways, Doug said, Randy, put a camera back out there again. Put a camera out there and say this. Can we get a picture of you and we won't share it with nobody? It'll just be for me. I said it'll be for me and it'll be for Doug. But then I said, if you don't want a trail camera ever on this property, you got to give me a sign you don't want them here. So I said that. I go back the next day. Guess what? There's a 15-foot Y stick on my camera, blocking my camera. Well, that's no coincidence. And it wasn't from the tree that I had my camera on. It was brought there. So that's why I don't do trail cam. I won't let anybody do trail cameras here. And I don't just let anybody come here, you know. I don't want to ruin what I got going on because I like it. I'm not scared of them. Now, I'll tell you some weird stuff. They've been in my house before. And if it isn't them, it's something to do with something. 2 years ago, I'm at a rodeo. My one granddaughter, she made 7th in the world in calf roping and stuff. She's real good in the rodeo, and the high school rodeo, I mean. And I was at the one in Bemidji there watching her, and it rained all day that day. So my daughter, Rachel, asked me, hey, can we keep your pickup here and you take the 1-ton truck and the big trailer and go home with it and come back in the morning with 25 bales of hay that's not wet? I said, yes, I can do that. So I get home about 10 o'clock. I got the 2 kids with me, and the house is locked. I said, oh, my God. I only got one house key. It's on my pickup keys, and Rachel's got my pickup, and I got her pickup. So how am I going to get in? So I found a pry bar, and I kind of jimmied the door open, and I got it open. I come in, turn the lights on. I have this laptop computer I had just bought it in Bemidji. I set it down on the table before I turn the lights on. My hands get sticky. I said, what the heck? Turn the lights on. Something or one of them things came in the house, took ice cream out of the freezer, opened it up, and it melted all over the table, but the stick was not in the ice cream bar. It was on the other side of the table. Now, if I would have took an ice cream bar out before I left that morning and left it at the table and opened it up, I wouldn't have done that. And if I would have opened it up, the stick would have still been frozen in the ice cream bar, not on the other side of the table. You know what I'm saying? That was really weird. And so as I put the kids, they go to bed, I go into my bedroom. There's nobody home. I get ready to go into bed, and something had pissed in my bed all the way. It was so sour and so bad that I couldn't even sleep in the bed. I had to take all the stuff off, all the way down to the box spring. I slept on the couch. About a week later, nobody's home. We got a golden retriever. And in our bedroom door, I always lock it because it's so much weird stuff going on around here. I always just lock it, and it's got these little French glass doors all the way up. And I took my clothes and put it on a hamper. It's about 4 feet up hamper. I lay them on top of that. I go to bed. About 4 in the morning, the dog is growling, looking out the window, deep growling, really, really terrible. I get woke up, and my door handle's turning back and forth. Click, click, click. I can hear it turning back and forth, but I can't move. It's like I'm frozen. And I must have eventually fell asleep. I get up the next morning, go grab my clothes off the hamper. They're all pissed on again. The same sour, icky smell. So I don't know what's going on there. Here's another one. Jim Hebb told me, Randy, you got to stop carrying a rifle when you go out in the woods. You got to stop doing it. And if you stop doing the rifle thing, you'll get a lot more activity. So I did that, even though I felt really uncomfortable. I stopped carrying a rifle. He said, take a GoPro camera and wear it backwards. I said, I don't have one. So take your phone, and every once in a while you're walking in the woods, take a picture, and you got to announce yourself. I said, I got to announce myself. He said, yeah, if I walk in your house and you were sitting on your couch, you'd wonder, who's coming in my house? It's the same thing. It's their house. So I'm walking back in the woods. I feel stupid as heck, talking to the trees in the woods, but I'm doing it. And I'm across the river in this cedar swamp area, really thick back in there. And I'm doing that. I'm saying like, hey, this is Randy. I'm just looking at your stuff there, and I'm harmless. You can trust me. I'm just rambling on, saying stuff like that. I said it a lot that day. I'm back there about 4 hours walking. I come back. I'm sitting on my couch looking at my pictures. All of a sudden, oh, my God, I got 3 Sasquatches on my phone. I'm really excited about it. All of a sudden, something hits the side of the house. It shook the house. It really startled me. I get up. Oh, there's somebody at the door. And I get to start walking to the door, and in a female voice, I hear, Randy, just like that. I say to myself, oh, there is somebody out there. I go out there. There's nobody there. I'm looking around. There's nobody there. But I looked on the side of the house where it was hit, and there's a white oily finger streaks on the side of my house where they slapped it. Now, they've done that lots of times since then. Now, just last week, we got a camper. This little camper, it's an older little camper. I use it when I'm doing a concert and it's an outside deal, and I set up the day before, I want to be able to stay by the stage and not leave, go to hotel room, because all my equipment's there. I need to be by it in case of storm, whatever, you know. And so Terry's daughter and the 2 grandkids were going to stay in it for fun, but I had the door parked up by the woods line. They didn't want it there. They wanted it down by our garage. So I got it all moved, and I told my wife, Terry, hey, I got the camper moved and the door facing north. She said, I don't think so. She wants it the other way. I said, no, I don't think so. I call her, and I did have it right, but we're talking about that door. And about an hour later, Terry's out with the dog, walking, and all of a sudden she hears a bang. It like reverberated the sky really loud. In fact, Tanner and the other dog heard it in the house. That's how loud it was. The dog got really scared and pulled her all the way back into the house. Well, I'm gone. I come back about an hour later, and they're telling me about it. So I'm going around the new garage we got. It's got steel on it, that corrugated steel. Well, I don't see nothing on that garage. And I go by the camper, and guess what? There's a huge dent by the door of the camper. There was no dents in the camper at all. So that happened. I didn't say much about it. I didn't talk to them anyways, the things in the woods, you know. And a week later, the girls are staying in there, Samantha, and the girls are staying in the camper. And about 2 a.m, another loud bang on the camper, and it's shaking back and forth, and they knock it right off the block. What happens when you take a camper off a pickup hitch? You take it off there, you put it on blocks, and you lower it down so it's level, and you put it on solid blocks. Well, they took it right off the blocks and was into the grass. There's 7 knuckle marks on the side of the camper where they hit it. Those girls were sleeping. They weren't walking around in the camper, and it was solid anyways. The first time I got the camper, I'm cleaning it up. I had been sitting in this old garage for a couple of years because it's just an older thing. And I'm cleaning the thing up. Well, I went in the house to get some cleaning supplies. I come back, the door is shut, and it's locked. Well, the door can't lock. And I don't have a key for it, so I got to pry it open. Well, I get it open. I got the shop vac, and I'm vacuuming it right by the door with the shop vac. And one walks right by. I see his legs, his feet, his torso. He walks right by me. It's a black one. I go out and look right away, and there's nothing there. If I'm rambling on too much, you can slow me down because I got a lot I can say. I'm gonna
hop. I'm gonna hop in with a few questions if that's all right. I know listeners are gonna be like,
that's all right. Yep.
Shut your mouth. But all right. I got to jump in with a few just because. So you told me before I asked you how long do you think it would take to share what's going on? You were like probably 2 days.
Yeah,
I totally believe you.
I know.
So a few questions so far. Did you try to get the fingerprint oils off the side of the house at all?
No, I never did. Nope.
Okay.
No, and I got it. Can I insert one thing?
Yes, go ahead.
Back then, I was new to this.
Yep.
Okay, here's the thing now. I'm not trying to get any evidence for the world anymore.
Okay.
Not at all. I don't do cameras on this land here. I don't do whooping. I don't do knocking because they're here. I know they're here. And I have a lot of little gifts out in the woods, little wooden blocks, little dice, and 3 different areas, like at 15, 20 feet from each other. And I go out there every day, and I move them to a certain thing. I take a picture of it. If they move them, and I'll take a picture of that the next day like I did today, and then I'll remove it to a different thing. We go back and forth every day. I think they're messing with me. I'm messing with them. And people say, Randy, you got to put some flour down, put some mud down, get some tracks. Well, I'm not doing none of that stuff because I'm not trying to trick them into getting evidence. And I think that's one of the reasons I have so much stuff going on because they trust me. That's what I totally believe there.
Totally get it.
Because I have a lot of things going on here. I got more going on than like Doug's high checks as anybody in the country because I'm not whooping. I'm not doing all that stuff that a lot of those people do to get evidence because I could care less about getting evidence and I'm getting it evidence. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. How much peanut butter are you storing in your house at any given time?
None. I go.
Okay.
Well,
but you get what I'm getting at, right?
General.
Yeah.
Yeah, I go. I know what you're sitting at. Yes, I know what you're getting at. I'll go to Dollar General, buy 6 or 7 jars, and I'll go out there and put. Sometimes I do 2, but most of the time I do 1. I'm doing them all the time, and sometimes they don't take it, and it's just there. And then I'll come back, I'll put another jar. Then there's 2 jars there. Then they're both gone.
Interesting.
But you can definitely tell when a bear gets it or a raccoon because that's a whole different thing there.
Mm.
And the jars are laying right down there up bottom. They've knocked them down and they're there. And Sasquatch gets them, they're not there. The caps are down in the color they are, and the jars are gone, or they're upside down in a bush of a tree. That's the difference. If I wanted to give opinion, which I don't like because I'm guessing, this would be a far out opinion. They're so clean, they look like they went through a dishwasher, and I can't imagine them taking a tongue and licking them because they're not an animal. It might be that they take them wherever they come from, scoop the peanut butter out, wash it, and bring it back. I mean, that's just a guessing. I'm just guessing that, but it fits for what I got going on here. So, do you want me to tell you? Go ahead. You got more questions. Go ahead.
Just one more for now. You said you had a few photos on your phone. What happened to those?
Well, I have a lot of photos on my phone right now of the movements of my stuff. I have lots of X's and structures, and I've been hunting since I'm 12 years old. Not one time in my whole life I sit in my deer stand dark till dark, and my deer stands are what I make out of the poplar trees and the trees, whatever. No heated stands, no enclosed stands. I just sit there. I don't get out to eat or nothing. I have not once ever seen sticks fly through the air and land in an X or a teepee or a Y or a V ever in my life. Trees do fall over. I know that. But they leave a root base because they fall over and the roots are there. The structures I got, there is no root base. There's sticks that have been put together that way, not even from the area. It's you came here to my place, which I would let you, and you walk back here, you would walk out shaking your head. I have so much stuff going on here.
Okay. Because
I've been in other woods before,
Yep.
And I'm like in Wyoming, in the mountains and all that, looking, see if they got the same thing. And I've never seen anything like I got going on here. It's the weirdest, craziest thing ever.
Absolutely. So I believe you had said you were in your house and you realized you had a few photos of the Sasquatch on your phone. Yeah.
Yes, I do. I got one a couple of years ago now. I'm back in the land back there, and I come across a fresh deer kill, and the stomach is ripped open, and the heart and liver is just gone. So I thought, hey, I am gonna put a camera on this thing, and so I got a picture of a Sasquatch. It took it that night. I went back the next day. The deer is gone. There was some snow on the ground. No tracks, no drag marks. The whole deer is gone. But I got the picture of its elbows are backwards. You can see its backbone and its head. It's leaning over like that. You can see part of the cone head and stuff. And it's not blurred out. It ain't one of those blob squatches. It's real. Wow. Yeah, I got that on my phone. Yeah, it's real. I've got some other ones. Back in one of my deer stands, I put a camera on my deer stand. And I made some shooting lanes a long time ago, and I took all the brush, the little popples and stuff that I got out of my way, and had my wife's son, Tanner, pile them in one pile neatly, because I don't want a big old mess of stuff. And I had another camera down the shooting lane that's a good 50, 60 yards away. Well, it's far enough away that's not going to take a picture of my deer stand. You know what I'm saying? It's too far away if something's on my deer stand. That's why I had a camera on my deer stand. And I'm not doing it for Sasquatch. I'm doing it to see what kind of deer are coming through there. And so I got a picture of a Sasquatch, and they twisted my one camera, and they took some of the popple that I cut out of there and put it up in the crotch of a tree. Well, my shooting lane was going east, and the crotch of the tree was south. They carried them over there and put them up in the crotch of the tree. And it's my ones I cut because I cut them with a chainsaw. But here's what I think happened. The first camera that's a long ways away, there's one standing by there. You can see half the red body there. That set that camera off, and that camera did out a picture of the area. You know what I'm saying? And that other Sasquatch, there was two of them, was by my deer stand, and it's kneeling down. It's taken up the width of 6 feet all the way across there. And it's one of those blob squatches things, but I know what it is because I'm there all the time, and that big red blob is not there. It was only there on my camera sighting. You know, and it's clear right there. There's no leaves and bushes going right there. It was a Sasquatch.
Oh, absolutely. And these photos?
It ain't the world evidence.
Yeah.
Go ahead, what?
Are these photos available to see anywhere?
At my house. I mean,
okay. No, it's a valid question, right? Like,
yes, it is. I can send you some, and I'll send you some structures too and stuff. Ones that are amazing teepees and stuff.
I mean,
yeah, I would send them to you
if you want. If If you wouldn't mind, I'd be interested if you're offering, but I'm just curious, like if they've ever been published anywhere. But yeah, that's wild.
Well, a lot of those pictures are in that book that Mike Quast written about this place.
Okay.
But he had them really nice, but Doug must have wanted, I don't know why he did, but a lot of them have been shrunk down. You can't even really see what they are.
Gotcha.
For the book, I suppose maybe it was less pages then or something.
Man,
but yeah, Doug Hyde. I just wanted. God, I got to talk to somebody about what's going on here. I got too much going on here, and that's how I got involved with this Mike Quast from. He lives over by Fargo, and he's written several books about Minnesota Sasquatches. And he came here, and he was always the flesh and blood guy, like the regular animal hide in the woods. But he don't think that way anymore. Not after coming here. And so he wrote the book. I don't get no money off of it. I don't get a penny off of it. So they made it in the top 100 bestsellers list on Amazon and Mysterious Books. So I will tell you about the portal thing. We're back in that stand there, the one on the state land, and it's made for one person to set in, It's just a platform and some railings around there. I got some camouflage burlap around it so I can at least move my legs out. Anything seeing me move a little bit. So I'm with John Badger. John Badger is part of the SRA. And he's seen one here. He's seen one jump one of the 5-strand barbed wire fence that looked like a sprinter. He watched it jump the fence. But anyways, we're sitting in that deer stand. He brought a new camera out. I let him do that on the state land. A brand new camera, new lithium batteries, new SD card, a jar of peanut butter, and some apples. And that's my old gifting area. And we're only like 40 yards away, but we're in the woods. And we're sitting in that stand, and about 11 o'clock at night, I'm touching his shoulder. That's how close we are, because it's not made for two. It's so dark out, I can't even see him, but we're standing right together. He's sitting on the chair, and I'm standing. I see this doorway-looking thing, maybe 40, 50 yards away in the woods. And it's shaped like a doorway, but like 2 or 3 times wider than a regular house doorway, And it's shimmering like the northern lights, reddish, greenish, bluish, yellowish, whitish. And it's like like the northern lights. And I'm looking at it. I don't say nothing to him, and I take my glasses off. Am I seeing that? Yeah, I am seeing that. And I say, whisper, John, you see that doorway light thing over there? He said, yeah, he'd been watching it too. All of a sudden, 2 giant like orb things come out of it, but they're walking. We can hear the leaves crunching in their footsteps. And both of them go over to where that peanut butter and camera thing is. And we're excited. About a minute later, not too long, they come back, and the first one is not in the orb form. I see a cone head, red eyes, the shoulders, the arms walking back. We can hear the leaves crunching. The second one is an orb. They go to that lighted doorway-looking thing, and it's all gone. We wait a little bit, all amazed. We're so in shock about what we're watching. We didn't think about, get our phone here, take a picture of that. We didn't take no picture of it. We get down, we go over there. The apple's gone, the peanut butter's gone. The SD card is wiped clean, the batteries are drained dry. There's not even a picture of us when we set the camera up. Nothing. So that is what they can do.
And you said that was John Badger with you?
Yeah, you know him?
No, so I'm just saying, so there was another person with you that could say that they saw the exact same thing.
Yes, there was. Yep.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That's wild.
Here's another one. I got some friends, musician friends, but they're believers in the Bigfoot phenomena thing, but they never seen or nothing. They just wanted me to take him around back here. He came in from Nashville, so I did. I took him back in the state land. But Brian Glenn, that has seen him here before, has had the infrasound thing here before, he came here, and right across the little creek, because there's 2 rivers, one is the creek, one is the river that come together in a Y. He wanted to cross the little bridge and go to one of my deer stands, one of those portable ones, that I bought a while ago on our 40 acres. So he said he just sat in there. He didn't want to take that long walk. Because when you go back to the state land, you're really bushwhacking. It's not there's no trails. It's in the woods. So I said, okay, you sit in there. And so we go through the woods. I'm showing them all these structures and teepees and all that kind of stuff. We start coming back. We get maybe 200 yards, and I'm yelling, hey, Brian, we're coming back. And it's looking at us. I see it's turning its head and stuff, looking at us. And those guys are yelling too. We're coming back. And he's looking at us, but not responding to us. And finally I say, forget him. He knows how to get back, so just go back to the house. We get back to the house, and it had a cone head and the whole works, but I thought Brian had one of those black stocking hats on or beanies on. That's what I thought. We get back to the house, and there he's sitting in his pickup. He never went out there. So
really,
well, yeah, really, yep. He never went out there. He even heard us yelling for him when he was sitting in the yard of his. He had his window down in our yard. He heard us yelling at him. He was never there. So it either was a young one, but there's no way one of them big things could crawl in that stand. I think it was standing and looking past the stand. The stand's only like 10 feet up. I didn't use all the ladders, put it way up high. I didn't do that. So, I mean, I can't say 100% for sure that's what it was, but what else was it?
This is really weird stuff. You were absolutely right.
I know it is.
Yeah.
It's really weird. People say, Randy, why don't you go out and sit in the deer stand by yourself all night long? Okay, I'm not scared of them, but I am scared a little bit because here's why I don't do it.
Okay.
I don't know what I'm really getting myself into.
Absolutely.
That's why I don't do it. And they say, well, why don't you sit by your gifting area in the daytime? Just sit there. Okay, here's why I don't do that. Can you imagine me sitting back there? I do all that peanut butter and stuff, and I kind of doze off, and a mother bear comes in with cubs, and I get in between them. That could be a disaster.
Absolutely.
For me, because I carry a pistol with me. I just can't do it without, because I've been seeing cougar lately here, and we got wolves and I'm not worried about coyotes, but I am worried about getting between a mother bear and her cubs, and I don't want to have to shoot at it. I don't want to have to try to kill it, and then the cubs don't have a mother. I don't want no part of doing that. So I just don't do that. And my deer stands I got here in this 40 acres are only about 7 feet high. One of those things could walk up and look down in at you. They're huge. So my wife has seen one in the ditch. Terry's daughter's seen one crossing the highway. One of the neighbors that come up here from the cities area that hunts here, him and his wife seen one. I've been seen so many times in my area here across the road coming into these woods here. Quite a while ago, do you know a guy named Chad Lewis?
I am very good friends with Chad Lewis. He is going to be headed down to the Van Meter Visitor Festival in Van Meter, Iowa next weekend. So I'm good friends with him. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. I don't really know him, but he was doing this book tour thing.
Yep.
And he came, well, I'm going to say the town. I don't care. He came to the little town of Black Duck. And he was at the nursing home or whatever, doing his little book tour there. And I said, I'm going to go there. I'm going to go there and listen to him talk about paranormal and all that kind of stuff. And I want to tell him about the stuff I got going on here because I needed to start reaching out to people that knew a lot more about it than I did at the time. So I waited till everybody left. But as a crow flies 2 miles west of here, there's another neighbor that's got a lot going on. But I never knew nothing about his stuff. He didn't know about me. So I said, well, I'm not going to talk when that Ron guy is here. I'm not going to say nothing. And he started talking. And I said, Ron, I got the same thing you got going on, exactly the same stuff. He didn't know about my stuff. I didn't know about his stuff. But I talked that Chad into coming out with me to my place there. And we walked, the river was flooded at the time. We had to walk way out of our way. He walked out shaking his head. He had never seen so many good X's and structures that weren't wind blown and there's no humans out here placing, well, I'm going to do an X here or make a TB, see if Randy can find it. I don't even talk to the neighbors about it. And so yeah, you can see if he remembers going back here in our town here with Randy. Yeah, ask him about it.
Just a few minutes here. So Chad Lewis is super respectable guy. He's very super honest. I've talked to him a ton. I've interviewed him, spent time with him. So you're saying he went out to your property, he checked it out, and he's shaking his head as he's walking out. That's incredible.
He is. He's seen so many. Yes, he is. Yep. And we had another guy with me, I think Pete Moen. He won Mr. America and all that kind of stuff in the day. And I think he was with too. It wasn't just me and Chad. It was Pete Moen too. And he come out here with me. He come out here and he walked out back in the state land and he's seen those teepees and stuff. And he was shaking his head saying, this is really something.
Now you're saying you have a neighbor that also has weird stuff going on. I was going to ask you that question, so I'm glad you brought it up.
Yes.
So what kind of stuff is this neighbor experiencing?
Oh my God. He talks about Dogmen and he's got a family over there that he sees all the time. He talks about little people. I don't know nothing about no little people because I've never seen them before. So I don't know. I'm not going to say he's making it up because he's an honest person. And I don't think he's making it up because he's got the same thing going on that I have going on here. And at the time I didn't know nothing about his stuff. I never knew a thing about it. So that validates him and my stuff for me and him. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, so now this
he didn't know about me, and I didn't know about him.
This is a totally different can of worms, because now you got Dogman and little people in this other area. Thankfully, you've only got Bigfoot that you know on your area. But man, I would love to talk to that neighbor. Yes. Oh man.
Oh yeah, yeah. I don't know about this little people, but that's moving my stuff all the time. I've never seen a Sasquatch move it. Is it those little people do it? I mean, I don't know, but I've seen them Sasquatches so many times. I'm assuming that's what's doing it, but I don't know because I've never seen them do it. But there's something weird doing it. It ain't no raccoon doing it. On where my little wooden blocks are, or the red pre-cut weed eater lines are, or my dice, there's never no food there ever, and they're moved every day.
Now,
sometimes
go ahead. No, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, sometimes they move it a little bit, and if I wouldn't take a picture, I wouldn't notice it. Sometimes, okay, here's one thing I got to tell you, and maybe it's a coincidence.
Okay.
Sometimes I'll take the wooden blocks and I'll put them in, I'll call it Jesus cross, like a cross that Jesus is on.
Sure.
I'll put 2 or 3 crosses like that. They are totally destroyed. I don't mean the blocks are broken in half, nothing like that. And these are just little blocks, like an inch or so, but they don't seem to like them. And sometimes they put the dice in 666.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh dear.
Not all the time, but there's been times to come back to, and those dice I'll put them in like 2, 3, 1, something like that, just different numbers. They'll change it to 666. Now, maybe it's a coincidence, but I've had that several times.
Not a fan of that for sure.
No, I'm not either. And I didn't do no crosses today, but the other day I did. I made one big cross and come back the next day and there was no cross there. Now the other day I made the wooden blocks into a heart, and they laid a Y stick in the middle of the heart. Now last December I'm back in the woods. Well, John Badger's with me, and we're back in the state line, way back in there where I never really have taken him before. And he heard me say this. I said, "Hey, you guys, can you give me the knocking sound that you do, just so I acknowledge me, so let me know that you like what I'm doing, all the stuff I've been doing?" And it wasn't even a minute later, we get knock, 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 space, knock, knock, knock. 7 of them. Somebody told me in Morse code that means hello. So there was snow on the ground. So we walked around a ways, didn't see nothing. The next day I go back there by myself, and I walked that land really good. I even got on other people's land, zigzagging back and forth. There was not one track. Now, last year I shot a small deer, dressed it out, and I said, "Okay, you guys, here's the heart and liver for you." I'm always in my stand at 5:30 in the morning before any other hunter, whatever they're doing, is messing around. So I'm already settled in. Okay, I get to my stand, and I look at my watch, it's 12 after 5, and I said, "Oh my God, I'm here way too early." And it was almost 10 below out. I don't even know if I'm going to last. So a little bit later, maybe by 5:30, I get a knock to the right of me. It was so loud, the whole sky echoed. It was loud. And it didn't really bother me. Then I get one to the left side of me. Then that did bother me. I said, "Oh my God, those Sasquatches are here." I said, "I better not get down. It's dark out. I'm not going to walk around in the dark." Then I get one in front of me. Blom, blom, blom. 3 of them. The right, left, and in front of me. And that day I lasted till about noon. I didn't see a deer. So I got out and I walked around where that knocking sound was coming from. There was no tracks anywhere. Some deer tracks. That's it. So they are not taking a stick and hitting a tree. I don't believe that for a second. I don't know how they're doing it, what they're doing, but I know they're not doing that.
Absolutely.
I'm not going to mention no names, but okay. I do want to say this.
Okay, go ahead.
I want to say this. What kind of irritates me in the Sasquatch world is these people that are kind of famous, and they're out there talking, making their $5,000, $6,000, whatever they're making. That's fine that they're getting that. And they're talking about Sasquatch, and they've never seen one. And they're trying to be this authority. They've never seen one, so they can't be an authority in it. It'd be like me telling people what your house looks like, and I've never seen your house. It's the same thing. You know what I'm getting at?
I get it, Randy. I get it.
They're saying they're just a flesh and blood animal. Bullshit. They are not that. They are not that. How can they say that so adamantly about that when they never seen one? Or the one guy that's really good with tracks, he's saying, and once I tell you what I'm going to say, you'll probably know what I'm talking about. And he's a good guy. I've talked to him on the phone before. He's saying, well, they got to have this much food to sustain this many calories to sustain life. Well, how does he know that? He's going by what gorillas have to have. They're not a gorilla. Maybe they don't have to have any calories. We don't know that. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
He should say, if they are like an ape or a regular animal, when they're that big, they would need this many calories to sustain life. But I don't know what they need. That would be more easy to take. But he's not saying it that way. There, I had to get that in there.
That's all right, Randy. You go right ahead.
Yeah.
I have a few more questions. Have you ever heard anything like this? Maybe sounds like a whoop or any other sounds like that?
Oh yeah, I've had growls at me. I've had whoops at me. I've had logs thrown at me in the river. Yeah, I got recordings of that stuff.
Oh, yep. You do? Okay. Are those available through that publication as well? Probably.
No, they're just on my recorder. Nope, I never shared them with nobody.
Oh my goodness, Randy! Wow. Okay, that's incredible.
Doug Hychek's recording engineer took them, all my recordings, and put them in a file for me, so I have them.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
I got something else to tell you.
All right.
2 years ago, I finally said yes to this. Doug Hychek's recording engineer guy, his name is Adam. They brought 8 cameras out here, but they weren't trail cameras. Maybe you know about this. They weren't trail cameras. They were regular security cameras, and they did 1,000 feet of extension cord and 1,000 feet of Wi-Fi cable to the cameras, and they put them out in the woods out here in the location. Did you know about that? And they were on 24 hours a day, and if you were linked up to it, you could watch them 24 hours a day.
I mean, I hadn't heard of that specifically, but I don't have a lot of time to be watching stuff either because I'm doing the podcast. But yeah, go tell us all about it though, please. Well,
they did that, and they had them all set up there. And the one wasn't to the iCloud, but Doug seen 3 of them walk by the camera and said he was so happy about it and excited. He said he broke out down in tears.
Oh my.
I got lots of orbs. You just see these orbs. They're not flies. They are massive orbs. I got orbs. Doug really don't know what to make of this. It's really something. I got orbs it's like a massive orbs coming out of the ground, coming back down into the ground, swirling around, going straight, going up and down, it's really something else. Yeah, I got them. Those were kind of recordings. I've saved them. I got another recording. It was about a 3-second, maybe even a 2-second video of a Sasquatch walking by the camera with an orb behind it. So I took a screenshot of it. I stopped the thing, took a screenshot of it, and I have that. If you get on my little page here, I had George Workman and his wife come from Ohio because they heard about this place. And he said, Randy, you got so much going on here. You need to get a little page or something to keep your pictures in order. Make it a private one. So that's the head picture of my little private page. It's called Randy's Bigfoot Research.
Okay.
So anybody can get on it. I just have to, invite them to it or accept them. And then what you're going to see on there is all the structures. You're going to see the new structures that I find. You're going to see how the little blocks are and the little gifting that I do and how they move it and how I move it and how it's changed and the Y sticks they gave me. Did I tell you I got 40 deer? Yeah, I told you about the 40 deer skulls.
You said there was a gifting situation that was going on where it'd be left in the deer stand, right?
Yeah. I'll come to my deer stand and there'll be like a 6-point buck or an 8-point buck standing on my deer stand.
Wow.
Or I'll be walking down a trail, come back an hour later on the same trail back in the woods, and there's a spiked buck skull laying there. And the thing about all these deer skulls is there's no chew marks on them. Not a one. They're perfect. One time I came to one of my deer stands and there's a beaver skull on my deer stand. The little one, with the buck teeth, the teeth coming out.
Sure.
Now, the other 2 guys that hunt back there, they only go back there a week before deer hunting and make sure their stand's good. And their stand is on the line, on the fence line. They don't even go in the woods. Now, you got time for a really weird story? And I got witnesses with me on this one.
Absolutely.
Okay. I got me, John Badger, Mike Quass, the guy that wrote the book, and Terry's son, Tanner. He's like 31 now. Anyways, I'll try to make it short because it can be long. We're at the original teepee. There's an original teepee back there. It's a big one. And Mike says, man, look at that teepee. I says, Mike, you know that teepee. That's one that's in the book. He goes, oh, yeah. Now I'm going to ask you. Yeah, I know it. You got to remember this now.
Right.
At the original teepee, they wanted me to take them to go north and then cross the Beaver Dam to get to the Cedar Swamp area. They've never been back in there, and that's where I was back in there. They said my name and all that. I mean, when I got to the house, but they followed me. But anyways, you got to remember this now. At the original teepee, about 25 yards, you could see the fence line, the clearing in the fence line, and about 25 yards to the west, you could see a bunch of pine trees, okay? Remember that. Don't forget about that.
Okay.
We're at the original teepee. Okay. They want me to take them north, and I could walk those woods in the nighttime, even though I feel weird. I know them woods really good. But anyway, they want me to take them north. We got to walk to get to there. I suppose we have to walk a half mile through the woods to get to the river to cross the Beaver Dam. So if I get about 70, 80 yards from that teepee, they're following me, and I come across these two square holes. They're about 1.5 feet wide, long, and 1.5 feet wide, and about 8 inches deep. Two of them right together. No trees fell over. It looked out of place to me because they're perfectly square. So I'm down on my hands and knees looking at them. Well, this is weird, I say. Look at this. We're all looking at it, but I get all the leaves out of them and stuff, and there was a little snow on the ground, whatever. I don't know what they are. So we get up, and I'm not a normal 64-year-old, as you can tell. I got lots of energy. Most 20-year-olds can't even keep up with me in the woods. So I'm trying to slow my pace down, but we walk quite a ways. And all of a sudden I say, oh, my God, you guys. Now, don't forget the fence line and the pine trees. Oh, my God, I'm excited. You got to see this teepee here. I never knew this was here. This is really something. They finally get up with me, and they're excited about it. In fact, Mike's inside of the book writer's inside the teepee, and we're taking pictures of him. We're videotaping it and all that stuff. And it's getting to be like 4:45, it's going to get close to dark. We get done with all that excitement. I say, you sure you guys want to keep going? We got a ways to walk to get to the river. And I said, once we get over there, we got to walk back. So we'll be walking in the dark. And I said, no, let's not do that. So then we got to walk south. And we got to walk to those pine trees. And it takes us a little bit to get to those pine trees. When we get to them, we get out to the fence line. We go west. And we got about a mile walk, and we get home. Those guys all leave. I'm looking at my video and my pictures of that new teepee that I'm excited about. Guess what? We weren't at no new teepee. We were at the original teepee.
Really?
Yeah. Now, what happened there? I can't even put a finger on it. I went back the next day, and my tracks and their tracks in the snow go north. They didn't go a little ways and then circle around and be back at the original teepee. And our eyeballs never seen the pine trees or the fence line. But then when we left what we thought was at a new teepee, we had to walk quite a ways to get to the pine trees. But the original teepee is only not even 25 yards from the pine trees of the original teepee. I cannot put my finger on it. I wish somebody could explain to me what happened, because it's weird. But now, after that happened to me, and I got to thinking about it, there have been times when I've been back there, all of a sudden I get this sense of that I don't know where I'm at. And I got to use the compass when I know where I'm at back there. And everything feels strange to me in that area. And there's a native guy. He's part of the SRA, Chris Sam, his name is. That one area there, he does not like being there. It really freaks him out, he says. And that's the same area where we were at. But what did they do to us? You got any answer for me on that one? How did they put a new teepee there, but we were at the original teepee, but we really weren't, because our tracks went north. There was snow on the ground. Did they just put that in our minds? But the camera, when I'm looking at my video, I can see we're at the original teepee, and I can see the fence line. That's where I knew we were at the original teepee. I see the fence line. Yeah. I know it.
Randy,
that's why Doug calls it the Skinwalker Ranch of the North here.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I would be very cautious walking around that property by myself for sure. Like, man, dude.
Yes. You get a dreaded feeling. I was out there today. I walked out there today by myself. John Badger was with me yesterday, and we found a good track line. Of course, we don't have no cats and stuff or anything. It was kind of raining yesterday and all that, and I'm out of that stuff. And so we're walking back there, and we found one 16 inches long, 5 inches wide at the heel, and about 7 steps, about 6 feet apart. in the woods. It was in some mossy area right there. So it stepped. We couldn't even put an indentation or whatever it is, dent in that where it stepped. And it was down there about a good 4 or 5 inches. So it was a heavy one. And there was a really good structure right by it. I don't know if that has anything to do with anything, but there was. So,
Randy,
you got any more questions?
Yeah, I do have, let's see, 2. Okay. So the first one is, can you tell me, you mentioned really quick at the beginning that you've heard something that sounds like the Sierra sounds on your property?
Okay. Yes, I have. Okay. Now, we got this trailer house in our yard, and a lot of my band guys, they're not from here. They might be from Florida or whatever, real road guys, because we're an actual road band. And one of them was Chris, guitar player, and he could stay in the trailer house because when we have a week off or so, they can't go back to wherever they're from, Florida or whatever, and then come back again. So they stay in that trailer house. About 3 or 4 in the morning, he was out smoking his cigarettes and stuff on the picnic table. And he come in the house, and he was, in the morning about 8, come in the house. He was white, like a sheet white. He was scared. He said, Randy, something went through your yard. It was huge, had red eyes. And it said he sounded like the Tasmanian devil. He said, that's what it sounded like. He said, I'll never set out there again. And it making some kind of garbled, weird sound, like it was talking. So I think he's just joking with me and making that up. About a month later, everybody's gone. My yard light's not working. But we get woke up about 4 in the morning, our windows open, to 2 of them walking through the yard, making this like, I can kind of do it. It sounds dumb, but I can kind of do it like, doing like that. There was 2 of them. They were like talking to each other, going through our whole yard. And I was telling Jim Hebb from the SRA about it. He said, Randy, I had never heard about the Sierra Sound. Go to the Sierra Sound. Is that what you heard? I listened exactly to a T. Exactly. What we heard. It matches it totally perfect.
That's intense.
Yeah, it is. I know. Now, last year, Samantha was on the SRA was up here, and they were up past Kellier. They were going to do a little researching up there. And Samantha was here at the house cleaning. My wife Terry was up at Oak Island. That's on Lake of the Woods, 40 miles across the lake. She was working there for the summer. That's why a lot of times I was home by myself. And she was there cleaning the house, and I was going to go up to meet those guys, what they were doing there. All of a sudden, I get a phone call, and Samantha says, Randy, you got to get back here. I got all disorientated outside, and everything was really weird, and I felt like I was being watched. And I said, well, I can't come right this second. Here's what you do. And she heard 2 knocks. That's at the end of the day. I said, go out and stand on the deck and talk to them. Tell them who you are. Tell them you mean no harm and I'm friendly and all that stuff. And she did that, and she got 2 more knocks at her. So there's another one for you.
And this is all going on current day right now. This stuff is going on all the time. All the time. This is not like my goodness.
And nothing against anybody. That's good that they've had this. Not like, I had a glimpse of something 20 years ago, and I'm pretty sure it was one. No, this is my sightings are a AA class. And every time I've seen them, I'm not trying to see them. That's when I get my really good sightings. I'm not trying to see them. Now, I've had some medicine man come here from Panema, Minnesota, on the Red Lake Reservation, and 2 of his friends. He doesn't really want to come back here no more. It's too weird for him. I had another one of the Indian guys come here, and we were back at the fire ring, me and Tanner, waiting for him. His name is Kip Perkins. And he got to my yard, and he started walking back. It was dark out. And he turned around. I don't know what really happened to him. He turned around, went back in his car, went back in the black duck, and called me. Said, Randy, you got to come get me. Come meet me at your house. I can't walk back there by myself. Something scared the heck out of him. And so that happens. Okay. 2 years ago, the SRA was here. 2 guys camped in one part of the 40 acres, one corner. Another 2 guys. That's Andy from the BFRO. He used to be, I don't know his last name, and his son. In the other corner of the 40 acres, and then Todd and another guy camped in the middle on one of my trails. And then Mike, the book writer, stayed in that trailer house. Well, the week before that, every day when I was out there doing my gifting, I'd say, okay, you guys, I got some friends coming here. They're harmless. They're good guys, but I want you to scare them, mess them up. I said that every day. And guess what happened? Andy and his son Friday night, something walking back by their tent, hitting their tent, and they said it was smelling really bad. They were too scared to get out and look. The next corner, Saturday morning, about 5:36 in the morning, they heard when they got up, the one guy said to the other guy, "Did you have your breakfast?" And the other guy said, "No, I thought you did." Well, something went in their cooler, unlatched their cooler, took the lid off, put the lid on the table, and went through all their stuff. Okay. Now, I took those guys back in the state land. They're walking with me. Well, this Andy guy and his son is about 100 feet from us. And I didn't realize they had a sense of something was watching them. And there's these ravens. I have to tell you about ravens, too. Ravens have something to do with Sasquatch. But anyways, we had these ravens circling us. And they kept following us and circling us. And I told the other guy, I said, "Listen here, I can sound like a raven." So I kind of did my raven call. And when I did that, there was a Sasquatch about 15 feet from that Andy, and his son got up and walked off. They seen it with their own eyes walk off. It was that black one. So we get back. Guess what? Something went on in my house when the door was locked and took a stick of butter. I took the wrapper off the stick of butter and stuck it on my refrigerator door. Now, how does that happen?
Huh.
I don't do that. There's nobody home. My door is locked. And Saturday evening, another Sasquatch was seen crossing in front of that Andy and his son. And then about 4 a.m, Sunday morning, Todd, the guy was camped in the middle with another guy in another tent. Something went by their tent, flapping the side of their tent, but they also heard wings flapping. They said they got so scared that this Todd guy, he's kind of the head of the SRA now, kind of put his head under his sleeping bag. And then it came back a couple minutes later, wings flapping again, hitting their tent. They did not get out and look. And so Sunday morning, me and Mike were standing in our yard by my house here. I said, "Hey, let's walk down the fence line there and go into the woods there where that Andy seen it go into the woods there." And I didn't figure we'd see anything, and we didn't. So we come back to my pickup. Guess what happens? A raven flies out of the woods where we just came from, gets lower than the treetops, gets about 10 feet from our head, and hovers there and staring at me and Mike and looking at us directly in the eye. Then it turns around and flies back in the woods. Now, that is not normal.
Yeah, that's not normal. Wow, that is weird.
There's a lot of times I'm back in the woods by myself, and I'll have 2 or 3 ravens circling me and flying me. Now, I'm not saying I believe this. I'm just going to tell you some things that was told to me. You know Robin McCrae?
Yes.
Robin Haynes?
Yes.
Okay, of her. Well, she was on that Bobby Dizzle show the other day, and she's talking, and I don't know her, but she's got a lot of the same stuff happening to her that I have here. A lot of the same stuff. So I wanted to talk to her, get her insight on what's going on here. And we talked about ravens. She said that Sasquatch can see through ravens' eyes. That's why they follow you. And I don't know about that, but it would make sense because that's what's happening here. And I told her, I want to get to the next level with them. I mean, they're listening to me. They're doing a few little things I ask them to do and all that stuff, but I have not got a name. And I try every day, but I'm not getting that. And I can't do that mind speak thing. I don't know nothing about that. Now, do you know about the sheet squatchers?
I've never met them, but I know of them. Yeah.
You know of them, yeah.
Yep.
And you believe in a remote viewing?
Randy,
I don't know about either, but they done some remote viewing here.
Sure, yeah, I know of it. I've never looked into it, and so I don't have a yay or nay about it. But we can continue with the conversation. Yeah.
Right, yeah, either do I. They seen 20 of them here, they said. And then when they were remote viewing, I was back in the woods. They didn't even know I was back in the woods. And they told me, they seen me, they said exactly where I was at. Now, could it be an educated guess? I guess it could be, but they don't know these woods here.
Right.
So
okay, sure.
I don't know about that. Yeah. But they spent
weird.
5 days here.
Oh, really?
They spent 5 days here with Jason Kenzie. You know him?
Oh, yeah. Is he the gentleman who does all the documentaries? Searching for Sasquatch?
Yeah, he kind of makes a joke about it, but he's still a good guy. Makes fun, laughs. And Jason, he was here for 5 days too.
Okay, cool.
The same thing with him, and he's never seen so many structures and so much stuff. And they got some some howls at them. He did one of his, I don't usually let people do all that knocking and all that, but he did one of his howls one night about 11:30, 12 o'clock, and he got an answer back. Really awful sounding thing.
Man, the last question that I have in my mind right now is, have you ever looked to see and done any research about, is there anything about your specific area or region that could explain all this weird stuff happening? The Bigfoot, Dogman, little people, all that stuff.
You know, I haven't, but I think I need to go to the courthouse and find out what used to be here, go back as far as I can go.
I think you should.
What I need to do?
I think that would be
I want
smart.
to do it. I know it's easy to do. Just go there and do it.
Well, that might explain what's going on, really, you know? Yeah.
It might be. No, not a lot of time, but there's times back in the state line I'll come across a mound, and I can see that there's a hole on the other side of it, and it's maybe 7 feet long, and there's no trees there. So I've always wondered about that, and I'm not going to sit there and dig it up, but it doesn't seem right. I've always said, what is this mound here? It seems weird.
It's on your land?
Yeah, or it's back in the state land.
Can you define what you mean by state land?
Minnesota, like our land is private land. This 40 acres is private.
Sure.
But then Minnesota owns land too, and they call it state land. That's what I mean by that. It's Minnesota-owned land.
They just have random state land.
Yes, they have random sections of land. Yes. Like by the Blackjack River, there's about 8,000 acres of state land that the Minnesota owns. You can't build on it or do anything. You can drive around on it and all that stuff.
Sure, yeah.
And you don't got to get permission. You can just go on it.
It sounds like you came across potentially some kind of Indian burial mound or something.
Yeah, and I don't know either because, a couple of years ago in a little creek, it's called Spring Creek. I'm digging around there. Because I want to try to find some arrowheads, and I never found one. I found a shark tooth. Now, isn't that weird?
That is pretty weird, yeah.
Doug told me it's a shark tooth. I'm just getting this from him. He said that's a shark tooth.
Interesting.
The other day I found some petrified wood in that river. A hunk of petrified wood. I don't know. Can petrified wood petrify itself in 100 years, or is it really old? I don't know that part.
Man,
but yeah, you're right.
Weird.
I need to look up how far I can go back in the county records, see what used to be here.
I think you'll be very surprised if you do a little bit of digging to see, who knows what could have happened on your property and even your neighbor's property back in the day. You know, that could really explain.
Yeah, you're right.
I'd say go for it, man.
Well, I am going to go. Yeah, I'm going to go for it.
Yeah.
I just got to go to Bemidji. And I think they'll even help you look stuff up and give you the books and you look it up.
Absolutely. Oh, Randy, what an incredible story. And it sounds like y'all have the resource area where we'll put the book from Mike in there so people can read more about, things that have happened in your area and kind of flesh out the story a little bit, I believe too. But wow, Randy, thank you for sharing all this story with me. This is incredible.
Yeah. Well, here's one thing I'm going to tell you. There's been times where we've been sitting at the fire ring, me and the 2 or 3 of the people there that want to come here, and we'll have a real scream at us, really terrible sounding. And this is a new rule I'm giving people that let come here. What they'll do right away is get up with their flashlights and looking around. Then it's gone. So my new rule is if people are going to be with me and that happens, don't move. Just sit there and keep talking like we don't hear it, and maybe we'll get even more action.
Exactly. That's
a coyote and a wolf and a cougar. When we're sitting on that fire ring out in the open, they're not going to come up there and scream at us. No, that's not going to happen. And we've had logs thrown at us in the creek, and it's not a beaver tail slap. I know what that is.
Right. Right.
I could keep telling you more until you tell me if you want me to stop.
Randy. So how about this? We'll do one more question. Has there ever been a time when you're out in the woods where it has been so intense where you're like, I wish I could get out of here right now?
Yes, it has been. Some of those times and it didn't dawn on me at the time before I ever had that where we thought we were at a new Tepee. Yeah, there's been times in my stomach is in a knot and everything. I'm sitting back there and I don't even recognize where I'm at. That's the times that has happened.
Sure.
And I have to, lucky I have a compass. Oh, I got one more thing I got to tell you.
Okay.
I have a compass on me. I got two more things I got to tell you, then I'll stop.
All right.
These are good ones. And I got picture too. Okay. I had all this weird stuff going on here. The SRA was getting a little bit worried for us here. So they got me a gift of about 5 or 6 of those security cameras. So and they'll go right to my email, you know, to Wi-Fi and all that. So I had one in the bedroom, looking out the bedroom window facing east. One morning, all of a sudden, my phone goes off from that camera. And I look at it. Oh, my God, Terry, you got to see this here. There's a dog, but you can see through it. The dog is forming or it's unforming. I can see through the body. I can see the outline of the legs and the tail and the face. It looks like a husky or a German shepherd, but I can see through it. And I said, oh, my God, Terry, you got to see this. You can see through this dog. It's forming here. But it set the camera off, though. And then all of a sudden, it goes off again when I'm ready to hand the camera or the phone to Terry to look at it. I said, oh, it went off again. I look at it, and there's a Sasquatch in my phone from that camera. It is massive, huge. I said, oh, my God, Terry, we got a Sasquatch right on here from that camera. I go ready to hand her the phone to see that, and my phone goes dead, just like that. Oh, my phone went dead. I plug it in. It comes on 75% charge, and no Sasquatch. It's not in my. It's not in. It's not even on the SD card of the camera. Totally gone. But the dog thing is just still there. I'll send you that picture.
Wow.
When we get out the phone, I'll send you. Okay. And another time, I'm back in the woods, back in that state land where farther back in where I don't usually take people, and I come across a pile of crap. It's about 2 feet long. It looked like it come out of an elephant. It is huge, but there's straw laying all down in the woods. Well, how does straw get back in the woods? It doesn't get back in the woods. And the only person that bales straw around here is about 1.5 miles north of our house, and there's no way straw is going to come from there all the way back to the woods, about 3 miles back into the woods. Anyways, and there was a bunch of red willows busted over. And I said, oh, my God, I got to take a picture of this here. I take a picture of it. My phone goes dead again, just like that. I get home, because my phone is dead. I get home, get it charged up. There's no picture on there. I go back, because I'm going to take a picture of that crap again, because it's big. It's all gone. It's not there. But guess what I found? When you bale hay, or what they do now, you know what round bales are. I'm sure you do from Iowa. Mm-hmm. The big round bales of hay or straw.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, and then it's wrapped with that white nylon webbing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, how did this happen? I found that white nylon webbing wrapped around a tree back in the woods.
What?
Yes. Yep. How does that happen? How about this one here? I got our John Deere lawnmower. It's a big one, but all back wheels turn, but it's not zero turn. It's still got a steering wheel. It's a 425. Yeah. I mow on the lawn. Our lawn is big. I park it up by the house, facing east. It's not on no hill or nothing. You can't push it because it's got the hydrostatic transmission. I go in here and eat something, come back out there. It's 75 yards away, facing north and south.
Oh.
How'd that happen? I go in the new garage here, and there's 7 finger streaks all the way across the garage. Here's another one. Me and Tanner cut a little trail to the creek. Just a little one. Maybe it's like 20 yards through there because a bunch of brush was down. I had Tanner pile all the brush and some little trees and stuff in one nice pile back in the woods. I come back the next day. All that brush was taken out and piled across my 4-wheel trail about 4 feet up. I couldn't get through there. All I did was laugh. I laughed at it. So you guys got me on this one. There's no human coming back there going to do that. Nobody knew I did all that cutting. So I have stuff like it happen in here all the time.
My goodness. Your story definitely isn't done. It's just getting bigger and bigger every day, I think.
I know. Yeah. Now you know why at the beginning of this, when this was all happening, I got to reach out to somebody. I got to talk to somebody that knows what's going on here.
Oh, yeah.
That's why I started, and that's why that book was written, because now he wants to write a second book because there's so much. It's ongoing all the time. It ain't just like one thing and then it's not no more. It's always going on. And
another unique thing about your story is that you've mentioned so many different people that have come to your property and experienced weird things. So you could do I could do 5 more episodes talking to these other people and be like, is this true? And there's so many more people that I could It's wild. Like it's very unique. It's awesome.
Reach out to John Badger. He'll talk to you.
Okay.
He
Yeah.
was just here yesterday when we found that track line. Yeah, he'll talk to you.
Man. Randy, incredible story.
Hey, reach out to Mike Quast for the book writer. He'll talk to you.
I'm going to definitely check out this book next.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's wild. Randy, keep me in the loop. I think I'm already in that group that you mentioned, your research group, but yeah, keep me informed.
I thought you were.
Yeah.
I thought because I recognized your name when I seen that little post. I said, well, I've had lots of encounters. I wrote in there to you.
Yeah, totally. It makes sense. But, oh man, thank you so much for coming on tonight. And I have a feeling we might be checking in maybe a little bit later to get an update, but
sure.
Wow, this is some wild stuff, Randy, and hopefully our paths cross someday.
Yeah, maybe you need to come to northern Minnesota one weekend.
Hey, not that far away from Iowa, so we'll see.
No, it's not. No. Okay. Well, thanks a lot.
You have a good night, sir.
Yep, bye.
Please take a minute to help out the show by subscribing on YouTube, making sure you hit the bell so you don't miss any notifications, and share the episode on YouTube with a friend. Also, if you're listening to us on a podcast, thank you so much. Make sure that you're subscribed, share the show with a friend. Really, it's all about sharing the show wherever you can. If you've had a Bigfoot encounter related to the following or know someone who has, please reach out to me at bigfootsociety@gmail.com or pass on my email. Here's a list. If you've had any encounters in Oregon, which I'm sure there's probably a few of you out there, please feel free to reach out immediately. You can use email bigfootsociety@gmail.com. A special thank you to all the Bigfoot Society Patreon and YouTube channel members. It's your support that helps keep the show going, and I extremely appreciate it. If you want to join in the fun, you can join over at patreon.com/the Bigfoot Society. I'll see you there. And again, thanks for listening.